Hi everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Jan Dyer. Listen, do we have a treat this evening? It's an old-fashioned peach cobbler. And let me just tell you that I am actually going by my recipe that's in the Due South magazine. How exciting! This is in the September issue, and it was so fun. They actually sent a beautiful young girl out to talk to us and get our story, mine and my husband's. And we just had the best time. But that's what we did for her. We did the peach cobbler, and I wanted to do it for you when it came out in the magazine. So they are on newsstands now. I hope you'll pick one up. And it's got some other delicious recipes in it. Okay, I normally do a store-bought crust, but this cobbler needs so much crust that I needed to do the recipe that it called for. So that's what I'm working on. We're just sifting the flour. That's all we're doing. It just lightens it up a little bit, and it gets little things out of it that won't go through. Who knows what that could have been? Something got in your flour bowl. We're going to do this in a food processor. That is 2.5 cups. I'm sorry that bowl's right in your face. 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. That's all we have. To that, we are adding 3 tablespoons of just regular granulated sugar and a teaspoon of salt. We're just going to mix that up a little bit, get it really well incorporated. We're not going to do much in this processor tonight. That's just making sure everything's mixed up really good. All right, now we're going to add the shortening, and we have a cup of shortening. Truthfully, I wish my shortening was a little bit colder. It's not going to be super cold, but it will be fine. It will make a delicious crust, and we will be glad. Okay, so now we're going to go back and get this all mixed up. Listen, this is end of the season peach cobbler. We go to Riggs Orchard in Spiro and get our peaches. You know, I remember when I was a little girl, we used to go over there and pick peaches. There's no more picking peaches. You just go over and buy their peaches, which I don't know that I would pick the peaches now. Let me see how that's looking. Just a little bit more. But it's always wonderful. They have them there. If you buy a lot, they'll load them in your car. We've had the best time going over this year and just picking up some peaches. And I tell you, they have been fabulous. We'll get a whole bunch and bring them back and then share them with lots of different people. Okay, this needed to be like a course meal. And I don't know if you can see it really good, but that's really what we've got. So let me pour this into our bowl. So at this point, and like I said, we're going right along with our recipe that's in this magazine. You know they're free magazines, but I love them. I've loved them since they came out. To that, you can see better how it looks now. Isn't that pretty? All we're going to add is an egg. Let me get that all broken up real good. And then you need 1/4 cup of cold water. And I had ice in this and I just took it out. So let me mix that in with our egg. The only thing about this recipe is you do have to kind of plan ahead, because we're going to make this dough and then it's going to have to rest. So it's not something that you can make super quick, because you've got to have some little times in between that you can actually have a little downtime. But I tell you what I'll do while this is resting, I'll get our peaches all ready so that when we come back, we'll have a lot of things already in the works. So that will be awesome. Let me do this with my hands just real quick. You know, I like to wear gloves when I'm in the kitchen, especially when I'm handling the food, just for cleanliness. I like to know that I keep my hands clean. But I also just, you know it's just better for everybody to be a little more sanitary. I think that's what we're learning from everything that's going on right now. Okay, that's well mixed. I just need to pour it out on my board. Same thing's true here. Just rinse this off really good. Got this nice and clean. Pour out our dough. Just work it just a little bit in this flour. It's a little bit sticky, but that's why we're putting it in the refrigerator. It's going to help us. It's going to be really easy to work with, really easy to roll out. It's going to be just perfect. Okay. Let me get us a little piece of plastic wrap. I'm going to have to work with this. And then we'll just set this in the refrigerator. Like I said, it's going to be a little 30-minute window, which will go by quick for me because I've got some things to do to get ready for y'all. And it'll go by quick for y'all too. Because here we are. Into the fridge this will go. And when we come back in 30 minutes, we'll start putting our cobbler together. We are working on our peaches, and look at these. Aren't they gorgeous? I told you we go to Riggs Orchard in Spiro, and they're delicious. And I told you, end of season, so it's kind of sad, but we're super excited to have this cobbler. Okay, let me just show you what I did. You know, it calls for 3 pounds. These are freestone, which I love that. And right now, I think I'm going to be 12 peaches total. I got a lot of them done, so you wouldn't have to worry about watching me. But we just put them in this stewer because we're going to add lots of good stuff to that. A lot of these, look, the skin just peels right off. I just find it easier to do it like this, to slice them and then peel them, just because I don't like holding a big slippery peach. This is just easier for me. But whatever you're used to doing, whatever's best for you, that's what cooking's all about. Making it fun and easy for you. So whatever is best, that's awesome. Listen, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because I've got the heat under this. While I'm still slicing these last few, let me go ahead and put this butter in. It takes 1/2 cup of butter, which is a whole stick. Let me put that in there so we can start melting down, because I can hear it get a little bit warm. Alrighty. You know, you can do these all season, and it's hard. I know it's hard right now picking out fruits because, you know, they don't really want you to touch them. Well, that's how I pick my fruit, is touch it and smell it. And so we're just having to do what we can. But we didn't have that problem when we went over to Spiro. We didn't pick. We just went up, picked a half bushel, and headed to the car. Now, what we're going to do, these are going to cook down a little bit, and I'll tell you what all I'm going to put in it. But while these are cooking down, I'm going to go ahead and roll out our crust, because it has to cook for 20 minutes. We put the bottom in, let it cook for 20 minutes, which will just make it really good because it'll give it a harder crust on the bottom. But I want these to actually have a chance to cool down too, because if I put my top on while these are super hot, that dough just kind of melts down. I'm going to try to do a lattice top. I tried to do it when my little girl was here from due south, and my peaches were so hot that my top crust kind of melted. So it was because I didn't let it cool. So that's what I'm hoping to be able to do. Get everything in this and let it be cooking down while we roll out our crust and get it cooking, so that when we come back and we put it all together, this will be cooled off enough that I can do my lattice on the top. All right, so these are 3 pounds of peaches. So let me just pull our recipe over here so I can make sure I've got it right. Don't need that. I don't need this. Listen, I needed, it's a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, 3/4 cup of orange juice, and then that 1/2 cup of butter, which I've already put in. So let me pour that in. That's just going to make it even better, that citrus in it. And we are adding to that Let me get this out of the way because in here, let me tell you what's in here. That's these two things. We have a half a teaspoon ground cinnamon, 2 cups of white sugar, a tablespoon of cornstarch, which that's going to be important to thicken this up because you'll see this is going to get kind of runny a little bit, but it'll cook down. Look at that already. Those peaches are just falling apart. These were super ripe, so that makes it so nice. We are going to add a half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And we started getting fresh nutmeg. I don't remember when, but I use it lots of times around the holidays, for different things. So it's just nice to have that. And I think I told you these are from Russellville, Arkansas, the microplanes. You'll need to pick one up. It'll be something that you'll use forever and ever. All right, let me just give this one more little stir. Get that nutmeg in there. Cinnamon, sugar, cornstarch, and our nutmeg. We're going to put that in here. That's going to thicken that up too, isn't it? Look at that beautiful color. We just need to get this mixed up really good, and then it'll start cooking. We'll start working with our dough. This dough is pretty soft, so say a prayer, people. I usually use my store-bought dough. All right, we've got that. This is just our butter for the crust, so that's what's there. Let me get a little bit of this out of the way. And we're going to put some flour down again. We're going to work with half our crust because that's going to be the part for the bottom. Let me set my recipe right here. I think I'll got a little bit of moisture on here, so that's going to be fun. It'll work. We'll get it to work. The dough is really pretty. And it says work with half of it, so that's my knife that I cut my peaches with, but it'll be all right. And what we'll do when we pop that in the oven, I'll stick that back in the refrigerator while that bottom one's cooking. All right, let me make sure I can work with it pretty good. What we're going to put it in is this because we got a lot of peaches. That's really just the same size as the regular 13 by 9. So let's start rolling this out a little bit. Boy, it sure stays together nice. It's really a pretty dough. We're going to 1/8 of an inch. And all we're going to want to do, cover the bottom of this. So see, I'm kind of working with it to keep it a rectangle. But I've also got to make sure it's going to come up, which it is, so that's awesome. Let me go a little bit bigger this way. A little bit bigger this way. It doesn't come all the way up on the sides. And even if we're a little bit over, I'm going to leave it because it's one of my favorite parts of a cobbler or a pie or anything is the dough. All right. Oh, hello. So let me try this other side. It's just really tender, which tells me it's going to be a really good crust. Listen, if these does like that, when I get it in there, don't you worry, we're going to fix it. And we've said no mistakes here, people. We're all working towards a good end. Let me bring it over here so we can all see it. Kind of got in my flour, but that's all right. This is all we need to do is bring it up a little bit on the sides. Scooch it down. See what I did? I rolled that rolling pin over the top of that and cut it off. It's okay. No one's ever going to see the crust on the bottom. They're just going to know it tastes fabulous. See, we're kind of having to put it back together. I promise no one will know. And it's going to be so flaky. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. There's got a little section over here that needs a little bit. See how you just press it together? Nobody will ever know. Be our secret. And I think the last time I did this, the side kind of fell in. Same thing's true. It's going to be delicious. It's going to be wonderful. We're going to put these peaches in it that are full of flavor, and then we're going to put a beautiful crust on the top of it. All right. We're going to call that done. I'm going to put this in the oven for 20 minutes at 350 and let these continue to cook. When you come back, we will put these in this delicious crust. It'll be nice and brown and it'll look gorgeous. And then we will put our lattice on it and we'll stick it in the oven. So give me about 20 minutes and let's cook this dough. We are within minutes of getting this cobbler together and getting it in the oven. Now I know this is it seems like an ominous task. I can only promise you that this is delicious. And look at the size that it makes. This would be perfect for a family get together, whatever you've got coming up that you want to take something that's pretty spectacular to. This peach cobbler. So what have we done? We had to make our dough because that had to rest. We had to do our peaches and get all that stuff added to it. And listen, I'm not going to go over the recipe just item for item because I want you to pick up the Due South magazine. And this recipe is in there. Anyway, I wanted to say how awesome it was to have Jennifer here. She's actually the one that did the story. But Catherine at Due South is the one that reached out to me about wanting to have it done. So I want to say thank you so very much to them because, man, it made me feel so very special because I'm not doing anything different than anybody else. We're just all trying to get a meal on the table, trying to take care of our families and get on with our lives. So thank you, girls, so very much. I'm so honored, and I just hope people like the peach cobbler. All right, this is our other half of the dough that we had resting. This is going to be our top. So we're going to do this as a lattice. And I don't know, when you'll see the one in the magazine, you'll notice that I had a little trouble that day. And I may have a little trouble today. The one thing I realized is this dough is so delicate that because those peaches are still a little bit warm, it really heats up fast and kind of melted. But I'm telling you, it was still good. And we made it look as good as we possibly could. Hey, we've talked about it. There's no mistakes when you're cooking. A lot of times, you know what? People say they had to either make a change or make a substitution or do something different when they were making the recipe. And that's when it turned out to be the best. So, all right. We're going to call that done. We are going to slice some strips because what we're going to try to do is do a little lattice on this. If it fails or falls apart, we'll punt, we'll figure something out. But let me just get these cut because what I'm doing is just giving that pie crust and those peaches a little bit of extra time to cool off to see if we can't get it done the way we want it to. And maybe I just need to work a little bit faster too. Sometimes I talk and I slow down. But I just feel like y'all need to hear it. All right, that should be plenty. This dough is really so soft. All right, this is hot, so y'all don't let me pick that up without my pot holders. I'm just going to pour this in. That was the crust that we did. It came about halfway up the side, and that just about fit perfectly. But I can still feel the heat coming off of that, so we're going to have to work fast. We're going to try to lattice. I lost a little piece there. Let me put it back on. Nobody will ever know that either because what we're going to do is we're going to put some little bit of sugar on that too. Yeah, that's going to, let's see what we can do. Oh, look at these are just falling apart. This is a wonderful crust. I think I do better with a little Pillsbury. I do not believe I'm going to be able to pick those up. So we're just going to make it a little lattice look. Won't actually be a true lattice because for a true lattice, you know, you have to pick that up. And it's, girls and guys, I'm having a little bit of a quandary here. I can only promise you though, stick with me. When it comes out, you're going to be as proud of it as I will be. We just need to get a couple to run across. See how if it was an actual lattice, it would be over, under, over, under. There's no way with this delicate dough that I'm going to be able to pick those up. Let me try that one. And we are going to put a little butter and a little turbinado sugar on these. And we will make them look really pretty. You know, the thing is, when you are cutting it and serving it, I don't think anyone's going to stand there and go, that's not the way your lattice works. And you can say, well, I know that. But, let me get this finished down here. Get this over here. And when we get that little bit more sugar on it, you'll see what I mean. What do y'all think? Do y'all see any more spots we need? Let me put another one up here at the top because it, you know, like I said, the crust is a good spot, the good part. All right, we are going to take, listen, I get my sleeves and everything, don't I? I noticed the other day when I was making something, I had my sleeve all the way up to my elbow in something that we were eating. But my clothes were clean, so there you go. Just a little bit of melted butter. And then we're going to, it looks pretty, doesn't it? I mean, it could, it's not perfect, but I'm telling you, it looks just like the one in the magazine because it's exactly what happened to me then. I guess I could have researched it to see what caused it, but no. It's all good. Anyway, this is the turbinado sugar, which is just a raw sugar. I just think it looks pretty. It's kind of crystally. We're going to sprinkle that. Want to make sure we get it on the dough, on the crust. And then we'll go all this way and all the other way. You don't need the sweetness, the extra sweetness, because this is going to be super sweet, but this isn't going to add a lot. It's just going to add a lot to the finish. All right. Let me get this finished. Then we're going to go in the oven, 35 to 40 minutes, still at 350. That's what everything's been done on today. And I will see you back when I take it out. And hopefully you'll be impressed and your family would be impressed. It's going to be awesome. So I'll see you back here as soon as I take it out of the oven. We are here for the reveal and it smells delicious. Listen, now I know there have been lots of different steps and that's why it's going to be important to pick up your Due South magazine. Also, let me tell you, it's going to be online, duesouth.com. All the magazine will be online. It's a great publication, so your recipe's going to be there. If you don't get it picked up in the store, look for it online. So let me get out our cobbler. Marley's right here. Her picture was in the magazine. Oh my gosh, doesn't that look delicious? It looks a little loose, but I promise that'll set up. It's going to be delicious. You would never cut it now. It would burn you. And you need to let it set anyway. So it'll set up, it'll firm up, and it's going to be delicious. I hope you'll try it, and I hope you enjoy it. Now, I know that I told you can't get peaches, but you can find them other places too. It's just this one little orchard. Anyway, enjoy the peach cobbler. Have an awesome week, and we'll see you soon.